Hello and welcome to Blue Army TV. I'm sitting out Carlisle. I've drawn 1-1 at home to Peterborough in what is another horrendous refereeing display. And I feel like I'm talking about it too much. And I know people will be getting bored of me saying things like this, but it happens every single week now. You know, we must have conceded the most penalties in this division, and we've been given none this season in the league. You know, there's so many you can think of. Like. I'd love to see a compilation of penalties that Carlisle should have got this season that haven't been given. 2 blatant ones today, possibly even a third that just haven't been given for some reason. You know, there was one against Derby. There was, there was a good few. I think there was a couple in a game towards the start of the season as well. Oxford, there's so many we can think of that should have been given but haven't been. And look, Peterborough are probably the best team I've seen play this season. You know, I think Derby have got to be up there as well. Wigan, for me, played really well when they came up here as well. It's another one of the top teams that we've taken a point from, and it puts us on 5 draws for the season with 1 win, which makes us the team that has drawn the most games in the division, which, to me, can be taken one of 2 ways. It can be taken that we're hard to beat. You know, even the top teams come here and struggle, and, Brunton Park's a very difficult place to go to. You know, Wigan, who were on fantastic form when we played them, couldn't beat us. Peterborough couldn't beat us today. But on the other hand, we've only won 1 game. We need to start converting these draws into wins. We're now only out of the relegation zone on goal difference. Yes, we seem to have played all of the top teams, though, and that doesn't really change because we've got Bolton coming up, but we've still got most of the bottom half yet to play, which for me is a big positive to take from this. You know, we seem to have had a very difficult start to the season, and despite that, we're outside of the relegation zone, despite being possibly favourites to finish bottom. But more onto the game. I think we did what a team fighting for survival at the bottom of the table should do against a team like Peterborough. For me, it was very encouraging. It was a very survivalist performance. It's a result where we know they've got better players than us. We know that they can play better than us. And these 2 teams at their peaks, Peterborough are probably better. Like, I'm not deluded. I that's possibly probably a fact. But we stayed strong at the back. We were very difficult to break down. Yes, they had a few good shots on target, but none of them were really big chances that you'd expect them to score from. There was one early on that Clark Harris puts over the bar that maybe he could have got on target, which could have proved difficult to Hawley. Hawley made some very good saves today as well. There's been a lot of talk about the goalkeeping situation. I think if he keeps performing like that, it's going to be very hard for Anderson to get back in the team. Simpson was very complimentary of him. But on to the big talking points. It's the penalty decisions, both at 0-0. How they've not been given, I don't know. The big one for me was because I couldn't see the handball. I've seen replays of it, and yes, it looks like a handball, but I've seen the Pioneer stand or the Andrew Jenkins stand as it is now, and I didn't have a very good view of that, so I'm not going to comment too much on it. The one where Jordan Gibson is pulled back blatantly in front of the referee, and it baffles me how that one hasn't been given, because it's not even like he's gone down and the referee could argue that he doesn't think there's been enough contact or that it's a dive. Jordan Gibson doesn't go down. Maybe he should have gone down, but you can see him pulling his shirt back. Unless Jordan Gibson's magically got a giant spike in his back or something that's causing his shirt to come all the way back like that, it's hard to argue that that's not a penalty, that he hasn't been pulled back. It's very, very obviously happening in front of the referee, in front of the linesman, and it's so frustrating that hasn't been given, because we've conceded stupid penalties a lot this season, and you just get the feeling that if we had done that, then it would be a definite penalty. But yeah, there's a lot to take from this game, but the big positive has got to be finally Jordan Gibson scoring that goal. He's tried a lot of long shots this season. I think he deserves a goal for how he's played. I think he was brilliant in that game as well today. He got what he was, he got what was coming to him. He got the reward for his really hard work this season, because look, Jordan Gibson is a player that possibly in the summer I'd have released. But he's proved his worth in League One. He's proved that he's good enough for this level, and arguably he's been our player of the season. And I'm so glad we haven't got rid of him like I suggested. You know, it just shows you how much I know. I'll definitely take take the loss there. I was definitely wrong in that regard. But my man of the match today, despite Jordan Gibson's performance again being outstanding, for me the man of the match has got to be Alfie McCalmont. Now, he hasn't started many games this season, but I just think he's so good at the press, and that's what we needed today. He was so good. His passing game, there was some lovely through balls to Sean Maguire, who possibly could have done a little bit better. He just looked sharp. He won tackles. You know, you can tell he's a Bielsa player. The way he presses and the way he pushes forward from midfield. He's a really valuable young player that I think, if we treat properly, can go on to be a real solid League One midfielder. Possibly even higher if you harness his talent right. There's a reason he was at Leeds. There's a reason Paul Simpson wanted him back after his loan spell last season. You know, he's a good player, and I think he can have a big part to play in the games to come. I think it'd be very harsh to drop him in the next game, which I don't think he will. But yeah, look, a good point at home against a very, very strong Peterborough side, who will probably feel like they should have had more. But, you could argue we could have had all three if the penalties had been given that we definitely deserve to have. I don't even think Peterborough fans can argue too much on the, poor standard of refereeing. And I'm sure at some point, as with all teams, poor refereeing has damaged them in some way this season. Just because, look, there's not a vendetta against Carlisle or anything like that. It's just the standard of refereeing in this division is very, very poor. And we just so happen, in the penalty, regards, to have been done over a little bit this season. But look, maybe that run will change. Maybe next week we'll get about 3 in one game, and like buses, we've been waiting on one for 10 games, and they'll come all in one. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see. But look, it's a very good point. It's a point from a team that, if you're a team fighting for survival, they're the kind of points you need to grind out and get, and we have done that today against a very good team. And on to Bolton, where there's going to be 4,000 Carlisle fans there. I'm so excited for that. It was an away day I thought we were robbed of when they were in League 2. Because of COVID and everything, fans weren't allowed to go to games. I felt like we were really robbed of that really brilliant away day a couple of seasons ago. And we're finally going to get the chance to do it. And 4,000 fans are going to be there. Over 4,000. I think there's 4,100 sold already. You'd imagine there'll probably be a little bit more. I don't know if that's the capacity or anything like that. I don't know how many we were allowed to sell, but it's going to be the biggest away following I can remember anyways, apart from probably Liverpool. But yeah, definitely in a league game. And I'm going to leave it at that. Lots of positives to take from this game. I don't think there's any real problems with the performance, more with the refereeing to take away as negatives. But thank you for watching. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and in a bit.